Pro wrestling, if you really want to get into it and you really want to talk about it, number one, you have to recognize something very important, which is that it's the last great commercial bastion of performance art. It is true performance art. People suffer for their craft. These guys get hurt. If you're listening to this and you've never seen pro wrestling and you're thinking, pro wrestling's fake, you need to watch a little bit of pro wrestling there. You can't fake falling 8 feet onto your back. That mat is not a crash pad. It hurts. These guys suffer every night, and they're actors, ultimately. They use what is essentially dance, the art form of pro wrestling. First of all, people say wrestling is fake, but that's idiocy, because these guys get hurt all the time and put their bodies on the line for this. You don't see Chuck Norris actually getting his back broken in these fights. You don't see Jason Statham getting destroyed. A character in wrestling is made up of many different parts, not just like good or bad. Wrestling is your whole body. It's dance mixed with stunt work. I mean, he portrays, even as he's saying, he has to think while you're being hurt. You have to think about the best way to make getting hurt look great.
Wrestling is melodrama. Wrestling is mythology. Wrestling is action. Wrestling is comic books. The only thing wrestling isn't is wrestling.
What is going on, guys? This is Paul Bradley with the Indie Already messing stuff up. This is Paul Bradley with the Indie Profiles podcast. We got the big Black and Blue Bruiser with us today, Worker Ant. What's going on, man?
Hey, guys. What's going on, man? How's everything? How's life treating you?
It's pretty stressful. School's almost out, so I'm ready.
Gotcha.
What about you, man? Anything too crazy going on?
No, not much. I've been watching my son, Baby Blue Ant, over here growing up. His birthday's coming up in like 2 weeks from now, so pretty soon for that. He's about to turn 3.
That's crazy. Time goes by.
Yeah, it does.
That's wild. So, are you still living in Philadelphia?
I just recently moved back, so yeah, it's for the most part, I just came back down here. So yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, it seems like most Chikara wrestlers are from the Philadelphia region. It makes sense, but in the end, it is kind of a little strange. It's like, okay, this guy's from Philly. Okay, this guy's from Philly. Okay, so is this guy, Very local promotion.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're just going to talk about your career, like how you got started and what drew you to wrestling in the beginning. Were you, I've had Amasis and Condren on already, and they both stated that, they can't really remember a time when they weren't wrestling fans. Do you remember a distinct time when you found yourself drawn to wrestling?
Yeah, my uncle from my dad's side is the one who got me into it, and he was into it by himself and stuff. And I guess one day when I was I think maybe 4 or 5 years old or something like that, I stepped over at his house and he was watching a WWF in your house pay-per-view, and I ended up watching. I watched it with them, and it was around time when guys like Bret Hart and Undertaker were at the prime of their game and stuff, and I liked. I got really drawn into it, especially just watching Bret Hart. I really enjoyed the stuff that he was doing, and I really liked it. And I asked my parents, well, what time does it come on, and this and that, and they helped look for it for me. And then ever since then, I was just hooked on to it, and I just gravitated towards it. So I just wanted this. This wasn't it wasn't like my first choice in the sense of what I wanted to do in my career or anything, but I was a humongous fan of it, and it was just I got to look up more every time. It was almost every single time it was done. It was just man, there has to be something more out there that I got to see, and I tried to just kept digging until I found other things, So yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's weird when I talk to people who've grown up with wrestling, because it was just never really allowed in my house. Combat sports were really frowned upon, so I didn't get into it when I was around 15, and then I just kind of had to dig through it myself. Thank God for online, because that really introduced me to everything, including Chikara.
Yeah, yeah. Chikara by itself, like another story within itself too. Man, I didn't hear about Chikara. Like, look, when I got into independent wrestling and stuff, I was very naive. So
Right.
when it came to things like in my mind, like WWF and like in WCW, ECW, that stuff I already knew of. TNA, like I just started around the time too, and I was just like I knew of that. I also knew of Ring of Honor, but like I thought that those were the only promotions. I thought that if there was anything else out there, it was most probably just a school. So
Well,
like
yeah,
I
I think
just
that's
I
how
had
we
no
all
clue.
kind of went in. Also, you're not just instinctively going in like I'm watching Progress Wrestling in New Japan. You start off and then you
Yeah,
just slowly wade into it.
yeah. For the most part, yep.
I mean, I didn't find Chikara until I was at least a year and a half, 2 years into being a fan of wrestling in general. So, like,
Yeah,
yeah, first
yeah.
thing I watched was Deucalion killing
Oh,
Equinox
yeah,
and create a wrestler. It
yeah.
was it was a it was a sharp wake up call.
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember that vividly. Ophidian Cobra is the one who introduced me to it. Like, I always seen him come to the training facility that I started out in, um, like just to learn like the basics and everything. He would come there from time to time, and he would talk about like about the place and everything. But like I guess I kind of just brushed it off until like I think one time like we talked on a subway or something, and when that happened, then he just started getting more. He got more detail into it, and I really liked it. So I was like, you know what? He invited me to one of the shows, which coincidentally was like I think night 3 of a King of Trios, and I came down there, and he was in the I think he was in a semifinals match, in the King of Trio tournament against the Colony, and that was like the first time I really saw everything, and I was the only one there. I didn't come with nobody. I just came there, and I was like, what am I looking at?
Right.
Like I never saw wrestlers like ants, and I would never thought that I don't know, a snake would be tagging with an Egyptian funky pharaoh. Like it was weird, like to me, and I just like it wasn't good, but it wasn't bad.
Right.
And then I just had to watch it. And once I watched it, I was like one of the people like just applauding, standing ovation, like this is crazy, this is nuts. So yeah, it was pretty cool, like to see it like that for the first time.
And I think this is not anything against Chikara as well, but I feel like if you're not a wrestling fan and that's your first introduction, it's a bit overwhelming just because
Yeah,
it's such depth. But if you are a wrestling fan, you see it and you go, okay, I think I found my
yeah,
niche. And you ask any
yeah,
Chikara fan, and it's crazy how much they know about it. It's because the fans are
yeah.
so passionate about the company.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about working at Chikara. Like I mean, yeah, it's for families, for all arounders and everything. But like, it's real cool. Like even if you by mistake slipped up on like a springboard, they're very forgiving because they enjoy the entire product as a whole, and that's a very good thing.
It's the
It's
anti
not.
ECW crowd.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really good. Like I love the the atmosphere of Chikara. It doesn't like before you walk out and you're about to perform and stuff. Yeah, you still feel goosebumps and stuff, but I don't know. It's like you feel goosebumps, but then like it. I don't know. For me, it just goes away the second I'm out there in front of them. It's like I feel at home. You get me?
Yeah, I definitely get that. It's just you got to find your what complements your style and what complements your character as much
Mm-hmm.
as if you were in a promotion that didn't really get you, you'd feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, what I was gonna say was just growing up in the middle of Texas, I really had to go through the the bowels of the wrestling on the internet just because I was, I was hungry for more, but I was like, well, I have nothing's near me. I got to look online. And Chikara was one of the first promotions I really found. And, just
okay.
all these ants running around, I was like, what is going on? There's too many ants to keep up with, like.
No, I know what you mean. And I definitely know what you mean. I was just overwhelmed with, the first three. And it was just, it's just simply because I didn't see anything like that before. But, like, once all that stuff was, said and done, I got used to everything.
Right.
I got used to, like, the quirkiness that is Chikara. Like, the things that I seen that I thought in my mind were very odd now became normal. And it was like, okay, like, it's weird, but, like, all of wrestling, every company out there and everything should take a little bit of what Chikara dishes out, because it's weird. It's fun. And that's the best thing about this. Like, when I first started wrestling, one of the top things in my mind was I didn't want to get into no politics. No, I didn't want to get into any of that stuff. All I wanted to do really was just get in the ring and wrestle, and that's it. And like it can't get any basic than that. And I don't know. It's like over there, that's what it is. You get in the ring and you wrestle, and that's the best part about that place.
That's great to hear that it's such a warm atmosphere.
Yeah.
Getting back to the beginning of your, at the beginning of your love for pro wrestling, you mentioned Bret Hart. Was he the man who kind of, like, I feel like each person has either a wrestler or a tag team that really hooked into their heart and, kind of dragged them into pro wrestling, whether they liked it or not. Like, I had Brian and Wyatt were the guys who brought me in.
Yeah.
So would Bret Hart be that guy for you?
Well, I mean, seeing Bret Hart and, like, guys like that and Taker and everything, like, they hooked me into, like, just wrestling as a general, thing to watch. But then, like, when I started, really craving more and more, and I kept looking deeper and deeper, I fell upon ECW. And and then when I saw the first match in America for Psychosis versus Rey Mysterio Jr., and Rey Mysterio Jr. is the one who hooked me. Like, if I ever wanted to become a professional wrestler, I really want to emulate what he does. He was the guy who, like, how, like, you got, like, I don't know, like, maybe a celebrity or something in like, in your mind, you're like, if I met this person, like, I would just faint. Like,
I'd say, Kevin Owens would be mine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was exactly like that. Like I saw Rey Mysterio stuff, then when he switched up to WCW, and I watched even more there, it was like every single night he was blowing my mind. As like, with the things that he can do in the ring, it was just crazy amazing. And I was just like, I just kept saying, like, man, like, if I just be a little bit of what he is, that'd be great. And I mean, obviously I can't, because there ain't no other guy out there as Rey Mysterio, but, like, it's just, he was the guy who really hooked me into, like, making me believe that I could maybe do this in the future at some point in time. So, yeah, it was Mysterio.
Yeah, and I agree with the fact that he was definitely one of the innovators of Lucha Libre in the United States, but as well, I like how you mentioned ECW because, a lot of, from what some people would have, you believe that WCW was the founder of Lucha Libre success in, United States, but they really, I wouldn't say hunted the guys from ECW, but they really brought a lot of those Lucha guys in, and it complemented so well. And just to have names like, Psychosis and Rey Mysterio together in a ring, you just know that's going to be fireworks.
Yeah, it definitely was. Like, just seeing that, like, that first time was crazy. And then, like, I mean, then when it, like, got transferred to WCW, it was cool because you got a chance to see it more in a brighter light. And
and you always want the wrestlers you like to be on a higher platform. You want, like, look at this guy. I love this guy. And now you get to see him every week,
Yeah, Yeah, is that like they? I mean, they obviously deserve where all the success that they get, but like just it's a pleasure and a joy to watch. It's a perfect gratification whenever you see the person that you really love, do their thing, and like it's like they do their thing, and it's I don't know, in a way you kind of have to try your best to like maybe vicariously live through what they do in that ring, and I guess that's where people emulate like other wrestlers, imitate things that they've seen before, that help them. I guess for the people that help them, like grow into like whatever wrestler they were going to be into and all that stuff. So just Mysterio himself was that like just that guy, and there was a point in time whenever I used to go to training. Back then when I started training, there was a lot of things going on, like the trainers were there to see if you could either be broken, and like just quit, or like to see if you kept coming back for more. And at one point, all of the trainees in one of my first classes, they all quit. I was the only one there, and even at one point or another, for whatever reason, the trainers did as well. So I was in the ring a lot of the time just on my own every I think 3 days out of like the week, and I would be over there like shadow wrestling and all this other stuff, and because I love Rey Mysterio, I was like, hey, let me see if I could try a 619, and I back then I could do it, at a lower weight,
Yeah.
but like now it's I don't know if I can do it now, but like yeah, I'm always proud about the fact that I kind of like self-taught myself how to do that stuff. So like it was he was always an inspiration, in everything I did, and
Right.
I've always appreciated that. If I've ever got a chance to meet him and say it to his face, I would thank him profusely, for helping me out.
Right. And I'm in love with the idea of like each guy who gets in professional wrestling, he's just a blank canvas. But then, he sees something like you see how Kevin Steen could talk on the mic, and you throw, a splash of that on. You see how guys like Marty Scurll can, move around the ring so fluidly. You throw that on, and each wrestler really isn't original. No matter how you look at them, they're a patchwork of the things they loved, and that just, it just continues that legacy on because, like the get the sugar move that you do, that's going to live on even from guys who innovated it, the guy who created it, Kenta, that's going to move on through you. And then, when you stop doing it, another guy's probably going to start doing it. And mannerisms that you enact and guys like Kenta enact will come through in future people.
Yeah.
So it's just constantly evolving.
Yeah, I mean that's the best part. It was funny because like those were like almost very similar words the first time I got a chance to like really sit down and talk to Bryan Danielson once.
Well, that's a huge compliment.
Yeah, like it's just funny because like that's what just comes to my mind the first time. He's the same way. He's like, but like he did his like very. I like the way he did his, and then what he said like for me to do the same at the same time. Like it was, he went to all these places and he grabbed a little bit from all these places and just put it into one. Like he put it into like I guess like one capsule, which would be like himself. Like he grabbed something from here, he grabbed something there, and like he balled it up, mixed it up, and whenever he wrestled, you saw like what he can do, and like
and look where he ended up.
It was amazing, and he said the same thing. He was just like, I just did mine because I had no fear to go into all these other places and like learning their training regimen, like learning what they can do, learning how they do their things, and then like as soon as I feel like I was kind of done learning what I did, from those areas, like I would go and move on to another. And I always thought that was a great idea. I was like, man, like imagine that. Imagine like just one person just like, I don't know, like starting in Philadelphia, and then like, they learn their thing there, and then like, let's say they feel real froggy and they decide to jump over to Canada and like learn the stuff up there and the things down in Mexico and Europe and Japan, like, and all this stuff, and just mix it into one and just come up with this crazy, unique way of like style of wrestling that like a lot of people like find refreshing, because it's kind of hard to like, to really impress anybody in wrestling nowadays, in my opinion, because like they've seen everything, and
right.
and that's the reason why they don't want like 5 Superman punches in one match. You know what I mean? Like, it's it's little things like that. They just they want to feel or they always want to feel like they're at the edge of their seat, and like it's like, it's like an oh my god moment, oh my god moment, like, it's like those things, it just keeps getting better, but like bigger and better, and just that's what everybody wants to see, and like you kind of have to like roll with those type of punches rather than like trying to keep it old school all the time.
Right. Do you feel like the way that wrestling is going, like when you look back at when like Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels had the ladder match and Shawn jumped from, halfway up the ladder to, to a modern viewer, that's like, oh, okay. But back then that was like, oh my God, holy crap, he just did that. Yeah. So do you feel like when you look at guys like Angelico and Lucha, who's practically killing himself doing these insane high spot moves, Shane McMahon jumping off the Hell in a Cell cage at WrestleMania, do you feel like there's going to be a point that they can't go past, or it's just going to become like too dangerous to attempt? Or do you feel like eventually fans will just go, okay, that's the bar, we can't go above that,
Yeah, like it's weird because like I think about that like with a lot of other stuff too, other than wrestling. But like, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think of that stuff like exactly like if you're thinking about music. Like I feel like everybody's talked about everything already, and there's going to be a certain time in the future that no one can really make new music no more, and all you're going to be hearing is just like the same repetitive things. Like I feel like that's what's going to happen. I love that we have a chance to see all these guys doing all these crazy moves, things that we've never seen before. I think all that stuff is really great. But like if that continues to happen very, very rapidly, like it's like the cool thing about it is that it challenges our creative side. We could figure out how to bring like some really brand new stuff into it. But like I truly do feel that some like maybe in the far future there will be a point in time where like everybody will see everything at one point or another.
Right.
And it's not as, and I think that it's not going to be the lack of creativity. I think it's going to be the can a guy's body really bend like that? Like like it's going to be stuff like that. It's going to be physical limitations that we won't be able to surpass.
I think it's also terrifying how there were backstage rumors at WrestleMania this year that they hired a stunt man to judge if Shane O'Mac could live if he jumped off the Titantron, which makes you think like there's a bar, guys. Even though it was a moment when I went, holy crap, that is incredible, there was a part of me that was like, please don't jump, like just don't do it. You don't need to do this. You have my attention. Like
so you don't need my curiosity. You got my attention. Like at the same time, like hey, don't do it. Your kids are right there.
Yeah.
Your wife is right there. They're all looking at you. Like, and it just. I would have enjoyed that more if he actually hit it. But like, it's just he just went through a table from that high, and it's crazy. It's like like the first thing, I think everybody's first thing when they all saw that was like, oh my God, he died.
Right.
He's paralyzed. If he's not dead, he's paralyzed. That's what it is.
And my friend who was with me was like, oh, there's pads and cushions in that table, and I went, do you really expect them not to do that? Like, appreciate what he just did. Like, that is like a 40-year-old man jumping off a 30-foot cage.
Exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. Like there's no amount of cushion or anything in the world right now that could that cushion his fall from that high. Like especially if it's for wrestling, it's like that's not, we're wrestlers, like, and that's the thing. A lot of people, they constantly call wrestling fake and all the other stuff, and it's not fake. It's
Right.
you got to understand. It takes two to tango, and
Every time someone says that to me, I just I say, "What's your favorite show?" And they'll be like, "Oh, Breaking Bad." I'm like, that's fake too?" It's a story, but the guy who plays Walter White isn't getting slammed on his head for 20 minutes at a time.
Basically. And then, at the same time, like, if you want to consider us fake, okay, then fine, consider us fake. But remember, we're the actors, and we're also the stuntmen.
Right. Yeah.
We're the ones doing everything. So, like, it's not like it really does hurt. There's times I come out of bed myself, and like, the night before I'm completely fine. I get up the next morning and I have this horrible backache. Like, it's destroying my back and stuff like that. And here's something that I thought that just for this right now, but I went to one time, like, this was before Jakar, but like I went to a Dragon Gate seminar.
Oh, geez. And, what I would have given to be in one of those. Like,
yeah.
And that was around like what, 2008, 2009?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Oh, that would have been such a great class. Because you got guys like Pac and Danielson and Kenta.
Yep.
Oh my.
When I went there was who were the two guys running the seminar? It was I wanted to make sure I'm getting this right. Is it Yamamoto? Is Yamamoto or what's the?
I don't think I've heard of that guy. Oh, you're making me look terrible now.
Yamato. Is it Yamato or something? It's Yamato, I think it is. I think it was him. And you remember Shingo?
I think I've heard of him.
Yeah, well, like, those two guys were the ones running that seminar, and I remember, like, when I was walking in, this was at one point or another in the ECW arena, and I just, I saw, I was walking in, this is my first time, like, actually going to this building and stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, I think I see Yamato coming in, and I see him, and I know of him because, I've seen him on DVDs and all this other stuff and on the internet, so, right. Like, I shake his hand right before he goes in. I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" One of the trainees here at the seminar and stuff like that. And he was, "Oh, hey, hi, how you doing?" and stuff like that. And then, once I let him go, he went to go walk. I saw him like really limping, like really, really bad. And I was like, "Hey, man, let me hold the door for you," like stuff like that. I didn't want him like to hurt himself or anything.
Right.
But like once after that, when stuff like that happens, like it's like, obviously it's because of the years of wrestling and training that you've been through and stuff. And then but that night when he went to go wrestle, that limp was completely gone. Like, because it was like, it was almost like you're telling your body, like, all right, let's go at this one more time. Let's let's go back out there full force. And then like it listens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I feel this. Like, at home, they could say whatever they want. Any wrestler could say whatever they want. At the end of the day, when you're home and stuff, you're hurt. Your body's killing you. But like when you get out there, it's like, all right, let's do this one more time. You're ready.
And like, yeah, I talked to Amasis about this as well. I mean, if you don't have a passion for it, and you can't deal with the pain, and you can't deal with the, not making any money for your first couple of years, I mean, then it's not the sport for you. And the guys who survive those first couple of years are the guys who have real passion.
Yeah, of course. You have to. I mean, like, then why would you purposely, put your body through that type of thing,
Exactly. I'm never going to be a wrestler, but I mean, I have massive respect. I mean, I've helped set up a ring before just so I could get the feeling, like what it was like, because I wanted to be in the position where I could say, I've felt what that ring sounds like, it feels like, and it doesn't feel good,
Yeah. It's a little bit of a give. I mean, the wrestling ring is a little bit better than, bumping in a boxing ring or something like that. But
yeah, definitely.
There's
a slight give.
So, what happened?
Oh yeah, there's a slight give, is what I was saying.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of good, but still pain is pain, no matter how you put it.
I can't remember who it was, but I was listening to Colt Cabana's Art of Wrestling podcast, and someone trained in a boxing ring, and I just can't even imagine that. Like,
Yeah, no, it's like that. That's like to me, that's like real old school type wrestling and stuff like that. I mean, when I like this is like at the very very beginning of when I wrestled. I like our trainers didn't want us like bumping in the ring because they didn't feel like we earned the right to get in there yet to do any of that stuff. So like at one point or another, like I had to bump on concrete for a little bit. I had to bump in the boxing ring once before. Like it's like little things like that. Like to make sure they want to just make sure that they want to weed out the people who know that like they feel like they're not really cut out for this stuff. Basically,
right.
I was. So
Yeah. Like you said, you were the only trainee left.
yeah, for the most part.
So yeah, getting back to your career in Chikara, the first time that the Chikara fans really saw you was not. You weren't necessarily worker ant at the time. You were a sale ant.
Yeah, I was a sailor.
Such a mean guy, weren't you?
Yeah, it was. I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, as well as all the other guys who were with me in Gekido. Just we felt like we kind of, we had already earned, our spot there simply because like we went through the training regimens, we did all that stuff, we did the whole 9 yards when it came to it, and then I mean I take fault where fault is due, but like I ended up leaving, because I got a little
right.
I guess cold feet, so to speak, before I was I left Chikara hanging at a point in time, and I realize that more now that that really is my fault, and I understand what everybody, including like Mike Black and Bush and stuff, were trying to explain to me, but I had a chip on my shoulder, and I felt like it was everybody else's fault but mine. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, for anyone listening who has never really watched Chikara, Gekido was it was a faction that came in, like you said, with a bunch of guys with chips on their shoulders, and
yep.
I believe they were all ants. Am I right there, or were there others?
We had 3 ants, that's including myself, and we had Shard, who
oh yeah, you had Shard
off of Jigsaw, and we had 17, who was I guess gimmick infringing off of Mike Black and Bush.
Yeah, I love the like when you look into Chikara, everything has a purpose and everything makes sense. And I read this article where it gave a parallel between, Gekido and guys who had already been in Chikara, and you could just see it like drawn down the line. It just felt like you were looking in a mirror. You were like Jigsaw, Shard, 17, Quackenbush,
yep.
the Colony, the Swarm, and it was like, oh,
yep.
I get what they were doing here, And it also speaks volumes for Chikara when you think of like stables and groups that come into wrestling. Sometimes it feels a little too much, but as many guys who have invaded Chikara, the Flood, Gekido, the BDK, it all just feels like it really has a purpose.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That's the beauty, I guess, of Chikara. Like it's like for all the good things that they do, they're always bound to get enemies. People who don't agree with their ideals and whatnot, and who would rather, I guess, forcefully show them how they believe the company should be run.
Right.
I think naturally that happens everywhere, right? Like you see it in every form of entertainment. You see it in every aspect of anything, like that involves some sort of entertainment. You see something really really good, and it's weird. It's like as much as that was good, somewhere down this dark alleyway or whatever, there's a little bit of darkness, brewing, somewhere, and it was because of the good that whatever it was became about. Like so, yeah, it's something that just it happens, I think, naturally all the time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And also, I wanted to talk to you about the fall of Chikara. And for people listening, my first couple episodes have been all Chikara guys. So I feel like
Mm-hmm.
they have gotten a sense of what Chikara is, but as well, there was a time in which Chikara was not active for around a year, which is unprecedented in wrestling history.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
it's just crazy. So what were you doing during that time? Was there like a void that you were trying to fill? Like, oh, I don't have Chikara for a whole year,
Well, yeah, I mean, Chicago was gone, so like, I had to go somewhere that was very similar to it, and the only thing that I could think of was any of the wrestling is promotion. You remember
Right.
those?
Yes, wrestling is fun, stuff like that.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, like it was, it was cool. It was, we all weren't there, but like, it's like you get into the locker room and you're like, hey, what's up, man? I haven't seen you in a long time, and like, you go, you kind of reminisce and all this other stuff. So it was just like, just good. Like wrestling at the wrestling is promotions, kind of helped, and just going to the Wrestle Factory at the time and just training, and from who, like, if anybody decides to pop up and whatnot, so like you just get a chance to wrestle and train and just do stuff, and all that stuff. And not to mention that around that time, let's see, that was like season 13. So like,
Yeah, it was the season. It was the season before the flood showed up. I remember that.
Yeah. I think that was 14. So like, I think season 13. I think that's when my wife would. She was near her. She was within her third trimester of being pregnant. So like,
Right.
it was like if I wasn't wrestling or I wasn't training, I was here all the time with her. So like, I know a lot of other people like, they went through, either some good times or some real bad times when Chikara fell. But with me, it was always like, man, it really does suck that happened, to Chikara and stuff like that. But I'm still wrestling, I'm still trying to provide, and I'm still trying to, perfect and hone my craft in the ring. So like, I'm doing those two things, and like, if I ever felt like I was going to be bummed or anything, I just kind of think back at my wife at the time, and realize that we have we got a bun in the oven. So
Right.
So yeah, it's stuff like that, and that kind of like that by itself fills the void without me like intentionally trying to fill it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a guy on the Chikara roster that could not be on it anymore, or is still on it, that you really like looked to when you were getting in Chikara as an inspiration?
Who's like one of the guys in the back that kind of inspired me a lot?
Yes, I hear Hollow Wicked a lot. That's a name I constantly hear.
Oh, I mean, you kind of like if you watch Chikara, you kind of see how I wrestle and
Right.
whatnot. You heard the Monarchy already and stuff, but like I got a lot of that my inspiration from Eddie Kingston.
Can't say enough good things about him. He's incredible.
Yeah, his promos by itself in my mind.
Oh my God, they're incredible.
I love all his. You remember the promo from High Noon?
I think I've watched every promo he's ever done, and High Noon is one of my favorites.
Yeah, so that by itself is something. But like then you have just the way he doesn't wrestle. He fights. Like it's his last time he's gonna fight, and that's just that by itself is very inspiring. Like just seeing that, like like when I finally got good with it, all the guys in the back, after the whole thing with the keto and all that stuff, one of the first people I got a chance to talk to was him, and I was just like, I need to figure myself out. I need to grab a little from everybody and figure what I'm going to be in the future. And he was one of the very big inspirations.
I mean,
like
you match him up against any other independent promo, and I mean, he'll kill it. There's not many in the independent wrestling business that could top him when it comes to promos.
Yeah, man. He has himself very well rounded for a person who just wants to fight, and that's the best thing about him. So like he He's like, if the guy hits you hard, hit him harder. Like, don't die in that ring. You're the one. You're the killer in the ring. You know what I mean? Like that's your responsibility in that ring, and it's just
Right.
That kind of stuff kind of like it sticks and it clings onto you, and you want to hold on to that and like just make whatever you are as a wrestler like around like words such as that.
Right. And definitely the best personalities in wrestling are just you turned up to 1,000,000, and that's definitely, I definitely feel like that's Kingston and a couple other guys on the Chikara roster.
Yeah, man. Yeah, of course.
So I think we're nearing the end of the episode, but I ask this on every episode, and I wanted to ask you, for the companies that are going currently, whether it be Lucha, Evolve, NXT, anything, who is your favorite wrestler that is going right now?
Who's my favorite wrestler going right now? That's good. To me, in my mind, that's a little cheating because Rey Mysterio is still active.
Oh, there you go. Well, that could be your answer.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I mean, he still is. But like, if I had to choose, man, let me tell you, the Young Bucks have been killing it for a long time, but they're literally everywhere except a cereal box. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, they're
right.
crazy everywhere, and I'm like, yeah, I was very honored and privileged to be able to get in the ring with them. At King of Trios and stuff like that, and it was really fun to do that as well. But like, those guys are just like, it's just work. A little bit of downtime for the family, but more work, and it's crazy. It's insane. Those guys, like if they're considered independent contractors, independent wrestlers, if that's what they're considered, those guys should be working everywhere, including TV. Like, those guys are insanely good.
And if you look at, there's not many names on the independent wrestling promotion that'll last until the end of time when it comes to wrestling. And that's just the nature of the beast. You'll be known throughout, diehard fans and stuff like that. But the guys who will forever be known, you have guys like Christopher Daniels and Bryan Danielson. But I definitely think the Young Bucks have hit that point.
Yeah, they're up there. They're really up there.
I mean, you will definitely live on through Chikara fans and wrestling fans in general, because you can definitely feel the passion that you have for wrestling.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. I hope.
No problem, man. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to end the episode because we've passed 40 minutes, and I don't want to keep you too long.
Got you. No problem.
All right, well, thank you so much again for talking with me, Worker Ant.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good day, man.
You too, man. Take care.
And that was Worker Ant. Such a cool guy. You can feel the love he has for Chikara, and you can feel the love that he has for wrestling. Just in some of the things he said, taking bumps on concrete, being the only trainee in his training school, even when his trainers left, I've always known him as just, nothing against him, but I've known him as another one of the ants from Chikara. And I love this podcast in the way that I can look at someone who I just go, okay, that guy's a wrestler, that guy's a wrestler, okay, that guy's a wrestler, but I can now pick at those wrestlers, I can hear what makes them tick and what they love and what drives them forward. And it gives me such deep respect for the guys I have on here. So yeah, that was Worker Ant with the Indie Profiles podcast. Before I go, I do want to talk about how you can find the 2016 Chikara schedule on chikarapro.com. Definitely check out some of their upcoming shows in the Philly area and around. They're going on their UK tour soon. Yeah, if you haven't looked up Chikara, I've had a lot of Chikara guys on the podcast so far, and the reason I have it is because I'm a fan of the promotion. I'm not getting paid. They're not, sending these guys to me. I'm going out there and I'm saying, who do I want on this show? I want some Chikara guys. And immediately when I started this, I wanted the guys I liked to be elevated. And guys like Worker Ant are dudes I really like in the professional wrestling business, and now I have even a deeper respect for him. So yeah, the Indie Profiles with Paul Bradley. That was Worker Ant. See you next time.